Alrighty.
Here we go. Come one, come all. UNH's Overwatch varsity going to be against Endicott College for the grand finals. A little bit of grudge match here tonight. I'm joined by Kami on the co-cast.
Hello. I cannot wait to see this match. They lost what, 3-1 during main
I do
season?
believe
So, can't wait to see how this one plays out for us.
a couple interesting bans to start off here. We do know we're going to have Big Warrior on the tank. J Rainer and Despair going to be rounding out our DPS with Knight and Skylar on the support. I do know that UNH wanted to swap up their lineup here after Endicott had seen some of the VODs of previous matches, so you're going to see a May lineup from UNH here. You see J Rainer hopping in. 15 seconds to go before the doors open up here for the first point on Lijiang Towers. To see Big Warrior on the Ramatra, it's been a pretty stable pick for the Overwatch season so far. The Junker Queen pick from Endicott, I don't know if that'll stay, but that'll be a very interesting pick if it does. I feel like I haven't seen Junker Queen in competitive in so long.
I'm curious to see because there we see a switch from both sides here.
I believe we might
We
have
got
seen some
Tracer
metro
Sojourn.
photos. Yeah, that Tracer, it seems like Endicott's idea here is to go very fast. See that Lucio,
Yeah.
the Joker Queen, and Tracer, all of them have some varying optics of a speed buff.
Fortunately for them, UNH has a Mei now on their roster,
Mm-hmm.
so this will be quite the interesting matchup.
Especially with that one major perk that allows the Mei to freeze with the continuous primary fire. That could be very big in countering this. Do you know that the Ramatra won't get a lot of utility from Nemesis form, as J Rainer's first to go down to the Sojourn there. Seems just caught in a bad spot when he's in the ice block. The Tracer seemed to be hunting down Knight there a little bit. A good Suzu from Scout to keep him alive. His Big Warrior goes down to the Junker Queen. Knight gets the 1-for-1 trade there, but he goes down to Sojourn quickly afterwards. Quickly collapsing in on Despair and Skylar there, they both go down. UNH gonna have to take a bit of a second here to get everybody back off respawn timers, as Endicott does get this first point. They're gonna start capping it right quick here. J Rainer gets one little head tap with those icicles and the Tracer, and she's out of the fight really quick. Nearly takes up that Lucio, doing pretty good damage from far away there. UNH's team will benefit a lot from these long-range engagements rather than playing up close and personal, especially with that Tracer.
We see the Freya holding the height here.
Yeah,
Curious
Despair
if
already has
they'll...
ultimate ready to go. Could see that come out quickly. He starts lining up the shots on the Lucio. The big Mei wall there could be big as it pops the ultimate right onto the Junker Queen. She takes a lot of damage. She goes down. Kiriko Rush comes out for Endicott there. You see that Tracer has Pulse Bomb ready to go. I definitely didn't think we were supposed to have this viewpoint, but it's okay. UNH takes the point back as Endicott pushes it just past 50%. You see that Tracer's gonna have Pulse Bomb ready to go. Junker Queen quickly building her ultimate up as well, but she gets cut off by that Mei wall. Kitsune Rush comes out from Skylar. Big Warrior and J Rainer both have ultimates as well.
See a little bit of a spawn hold from UNH here.
Yeah, that impressive play there. You see Tracer kind of coming in off that right side there. Knight turns around there. Pulse Bomb goes flying out. I don't believe it's stuck to anybody. Nemesis sorry, not Nemesis, over. I actually don't remember what the thing is called off the top of my head, but it finds a lot of utility from the ultimate there. Big Warrior finds two. Skylar takes down the Lucio and takes down the Kiriko the last second as well. Big plays from UNH there, and they force them all back into spawn as they start approaching at 55%. The Endicott got them their first take. Ooh, the knife pull from that Junker Queen pulls J Rainer around the corner, taking him out. Now UNH is forcing this 4v5. They do have Lucio ultimate, so does Endicott. You could see that Junker Queen ultimate come out just as that Lucio comes out, trying to get some of that anti-heal. Both Lucio ults come out at the same time now. UNH's ult economy does not match up to what Endicott has going for them. Big Warrior in the corner just gets started, gets ran down, but Skylar there nearly try to keep him alive as long as possible. Despair gets one pick for it though. Does end up falling, but some really good delay there as they get almost up to 70%. Ult economy for UNH isn't quite the best here. You do have Despair's ultimate, but outside of that, it'll take them a while to get any more online.
Yeah, they're almost down 2 ults to Endicott here, so if they hold it for long enough, I'm curious if they'll pop them all in the last point.
Yeah, definitely. You could see Despair around the corner on this height go for his ultimate. Kitsune Rush comes out for Endicott. That's one down. This could help UNH if they can survive this ultimate. To Despair trying to get back around the corner to help out there as the Junker Queen ultimate comes out. That gets some really good value. It's a triple kill for Endicott. Knight does get a trade back of his own. Despair unable to find one more. Endicott going to be quickly approaching the cap. Knight gets taken out before he can touch, and I don't think they'll be fast enough. First point will go to Endicott.
I was like, you cannot be serious.
Close match there. It definitely looks good for UNH despite the loss. They kept it close, had up to 70% there. This will be a very interesting grudge match to see for the grand finals, and it is best of 7, so we're in for a long one.
Yeah, very close match. I'm curious if we'll see any roster changes up right now from UNH.
Wouldn't be too shocked to see if Despair will maybe wants to make that swap, especially with how fast that Lucio and Tracer can close the gap on him. You do see that Symmetra swap, but I assume that'll get swapped back once the teleporter goes out.
UNH getting a lot of value from the Ramacha choice here, though.
Yeah, definitely. That onslaught is really big once they all get grouped up. Yeah, you do see that Symmetra swaps back to Tracer after getting the teleport. Same with Skylar swapping back to Kiriko after throwing out the Juno speed boost. Ooh, Knight goes down to the Junker Queen early there. And Suzu doesn't quite land home there as Big Warrior is stuck in that Nemesis form, trying to shield as much damage as he can. Does manage to get back towards his supports. A good shield there to keep everybody alive. The point does get unlocked, and it looks like Endicott will turn around to help make sure they capture that first. Those knife sticks from the Drunk Queen have been lethal so far, constantly grabbing and pulling a hold of these UNH team members. Like Carnage swipe comes around the corner. J Rainer actually goes down to the bleed from it. Despair gets one, but Skylar and Big Warrior both fall quickly. Despair unable to take down that Tracer. A beautiful recall from them to keep themselves alive. That will be a team kill for Endicott now. UNH may be struggling a little bit to get around the corner there as the... okay. Their Lucio goes flying off the map, and then their Sojourn goes down to Skylar, landing 2 quick kunais to the head, and that forces them to back away from the point now. UNH will take those 2 mistakes into their advantage and quickly cap back. UNH better look to the right here if they want to stop this upcoming push as this Endicott team quickly moves over there. But you could see a huge Maywall as their Kiriko goes down to those landing icicles. Oh, good wall and shield from the Ramatra there. That'll cut off that Junker Queen, forcing the rest of the team to start or come running in. Nemesis form takes down the Junker Queen for Big Warrior. The ult economy here for both teams is looking like it's going to be an absolute slogfest for this next fight as Despair goes down to the Kiriko. 3 ultimates online for both teams. Their Tracer's about to have Pulse Bomb. Big Warrior and Knight each about to have their ultimates online as well. You could definitely see a Kitsune rush from both sides coming out here. There's the first, there's the second. Big Maywall there. The Sojourn trying to get in the back line as Blizzard comes out from J Rainer. Despair takes down their Sojourn though. No overclock for her. There goes the Junker Queen ultimate. That'll be kind of annoying with that anti-heal. Does take down J Rainer as Skylar and Despair each find one. Knight does go down in the meantime. Ultimate from Big Warrior comes out. He runs down the Junker Queen, taking her down. A lot of chaos there, but at the end of it all, it looks like UNH will be able to hold on to point if Big Warrior can deal with these 2 DPS. The Soldier and Tracer trying to get the mobility on him, but it looks like the rest of his team will get back in time to help him out. Does end up taking down the Sojourn, but the Kiriko takes him down. Knight just stay on point, refusing to let them cap easy, trying to delay as long as he can here. Does end up finally going down as they just barely eclipse 80%. J Rainer falls as well. Very good delay there from Knight. Ult economy for both teams has pretty much equalized. Despair has ultimate as well as Knight, but the Lucio ultimate for Endicott's ready to go as well. Could definitely see both of those getting tossed out the moment that the next big team fight kicks off. You see UNH starting to move in on that right side there towards the objective. J Rainer takes quite a bit of damage, keeps himself alive though. Good healing from that Lucio. And you see Despair trying to get in that backline with his ultimate, throws one down onto the Sojourn. The Suzu comes out, the Lucio ultimate comes out as well. Knight throws his ultimate out as well. No ultimates for either team now, but it looks like Kitsune Rush might be the next one up for Endicott as they finally tie up the percentage there on the point. 3 members from UNH go down quickly. Last remaining, Big Warrior goes down as well. J Rayner last to fall. Team kill for Endicott, and that might spell the end of this first map here, unless Knight and Despair can get on point long enough for a touch. You see this Endicott team trying to quickly close the stop, but Knight manages to skate right through the window there, gets the touch to force overtime. Big Warrior hopping on the hazard. Good touch there by Knight to make sure the overtime timer doesn't run out quite yet. Oh, Katsuna Rush comes out. Despair goes down as well. J Rayner decides to get on point. Has that icicle to keep himself alive. Drunken Queen ultimate comes out. Blizzard comes out as well. Big Warrior might be the last one on point there. As Skylar unfortunately ends up falling off the map. Last up to Big Warrior on the point. Pulse Bomb comes out as well. Sojourn gets that final tap. Another poke from Knight here to keep them on the point for a little bit longer. But that will spell the end of the first map. Endicott walking up with a 2-0.
Yeah, very interesting first map for these two teams. I'm excited to see how they change up their lineups for going into match 2.
Most definitely. That was very close on both of those points there. You could definitely see some minor adjustments from both sides just to try to eke that edge out, because neither team there really had a definitive win or definitive loss. It was close to the very end.
I was doing it like once you get like
Welcome back, welcome back. The second map of this best of 7 grand finals playoff or game between UNH and Endicott. It's going to be on Hollywood this time. UNH looks like they'll be starting on, I want to say defense, but I actually have no clue because they're going to be blue regardless of which side they're playing on. We'll figure out which side they're on in about 5 seconds. UNH will be starting on defense here. You see a pretty similar lineup to last time. Knight and Skylar, though, going to be swapping up the supports there a little bit. You see the Wu Yang, you see the Ana. Some interesting picks from Endicott here. You see the Widow. And I could always swap as time ticks down, but I would be kind of intrigued to see some Widow gameplay on Hollywood. You see them also going to be bringing in the Ana and maybe a Mei swap for them as well. Of course, these are all subject to change within the next 10 seconds. Unfortunately, those look like they'll not be locking in Widow. I kind of had my hopes up there a little bit, but, you know. Those look like Cassidy May will be Endicott's DPS. Zarya going to be their tank. Lucio Ana, their backline. See how Big Warrior can deal against those bubbles as he gets up there close and in that face of the Endicott's team there. Good healing from Knight and Skylar. That Maywall, though, could be a little bit annoying there as they start to collapse in on height there. Despair takes quite a lot of damage. The anti-heal from there on lands onto Knight as well. Him and Despair both very low in that back line. You see Jay Rayner on the Twitch trying to get something active here in the backline. Lights up that Mei a little bit. Big Warrior taking a lot of damage, but a huge play from Skylar to keep him alive. His Knight's the first to fall. Goes down to that Mei. Jay Rayner on the Tracer trying to run down the Zarya. Ends up actually falling instead. Big Warrior gets walled off, but comes around in Nemesis form and takes that Mei out. That could be what they need to get back on point here, but it's unclear. They do have a numbers disadvantage here. Good healing from Skylar there as well as the damage. Trying to pop that bubble, but Cassidy will take down Big Warrior. Looks like Jay Rayner might have popped in on the site there to try to delay for a little bit, but Endicott will cap that first point rather quickly here. 5 minutes 15 to go on their payload push now. Only do get one checkpoint, so you could definitely see UNH trying to delay the best they can. As that Zarya tries to run down Skylar, he's able to get away. Jay Rayner has to be careful of those Cassidy flashbangs. That hindered effect can be very lethal, especially for a high mobility character like Tracer, as the Cassidy in the meantime drops Skylar. That was a quick death for him. Big Warrior trying to help out as that Endicott team takes height up on the rooftops. UNH taking some time to regroup before they make a push back out towards the payload here. Looks like Big Warrior kind of wants to go up top and fight there a little bit. As the Sleep and the Nano come out for Endicott, they start just running in towards the backline. Big Warrior trying to get there to help out. That Lucio and the Ana take quite a lot of damage. The Arya ultimate comes out as well. UNH going to be sitting on almost every ultimate the moment that they get back in that fight. Pulse Bomb from Jay Rayner unfortunately does not find the Mei, but from a lot of dancing nearly takes her out regardless, but ends up falling to the Cassidy. UNH taking a pretty big loss there. They're going to have to regroup once again before trying to push back out towards that payload, but they are going to have the ult economy that Endicott just used to get in there. Blizzard could be a big issue if that Mei gets the ultimate online, but Wu Liang ultimate comes out onto Big Warrior, but he gets slept and knocked away before he can do too much. Big Warrior takes some pretty good damage, but double kill there. Despair sets that up with his ultimate as the High Noon finds Big Warrior. Zarya is still alive. The Cassidy jumps up, takes down Despair. Skylar goes down. Jay Rayner the last to fall. Looks like he will be getting that first checkpoint unless Knight can do something crazy here, but he goes down before he can get too close to the payload. 5 minutes back on the clock for Endicott here. UNH is going to have to do... UNH is going to have to put up some crazy numbers if they want to hold on to this and want to stop them from being able to cap the last point here. You see Jay Rayner swapping over to that Mei there, hopping off the Tracer. Endicott, meanwhile, their ult economy doesn't look great, but they do have two pretty big ultimates, both Blizzard and Lucio ultimate on the board for them. UNH does have Nano and the Ramatra ultimate. Those could work together in tandem really well. Oh, big damage from that Cassidy in the backline, but unable to land the last little few hits they needed. That anti-heal comes out in the Big Warrior. He has to pop ultimate, try and keep himself alive. The Nano comes out as well. That keeps him alive for a little bit longer. Doesn't end up dying, but Despair does in the meantime. Does some pretty good damage onto that Zarya. She barely escapes with her life. Big damage on Skylar. He stays alive, but that Maywall cuts everybody off from the supports. They're forced to just watch as they go down to critical. Skylar does take down the Cassidy, but it looks like UNH will be forced back into spawn. They might be able to get out there and touch long enough to get another team fight. You see Despair. What a Maywall to cut him off. Endicott quickly takes 3 points there. 3 minutes 52 seconds left in their clock. UNH is going to have a very fun time on attack here if they want to tie this back up to go into overtime.
Ready for battle.
Oh, our spectator doing a little bit extra here to give us some new little icons to follow here. You do see that Endicott doesn't really make too many changes for their defense lineup. They do bring out the Ashe instead of the Cassidy. A bit better at those long-range choke points than a Cassidy. Meanwhile, UNH brings out what they had in their starting initial lineup. You do see Raynor hopping back on the Tracer, Despair on the Freya, Knight and Skylar on the Ana and Wu Yang. Big Warrior, of course, coming on that Ramatra once again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective.
UNH going to get underway on attack here. Going to start off with 4 minutes, of course. We'll see how fast they can get this first checkpoint to unlock the payload. CJ Raynor trying to get in the back line there a little bit. Does look like the Endicott team was made aware of his flank attempt there. You see that Zarya up on height there trying to be annoying. Big Warrior starting to push in, but there's that Maywall to cut him off from his team. Does look like there's enough of a gap for the rest of his team to get in there and help him out a little bit. Does some really good damage on that May. Definitely want to see Jay Raynor trying to get in the back line towards their Ana there. She's going to be doing a lot of the healing for Endicott. Problem is that Ashe is going to be watching like a hawk for that attempt there. As Knight goes down to the May, probably line up a few icicles on them. Does look like Big Warrior wants to take a few steps back here. The shield does not find where he wants it to. Trying to get a little aggressive here to take down that May. Looks like she manages to ice block at the last second there. Nearly got taken out by Despair on the Freya. Skylar quickly working up towards his ultimate. Their Ana is going to quickly have Nitro online, or Nano online as well. Despair quickly working up towards his ultimate as well as Big Warrior gets up on the height there, forces Zarya back off of it, or tries to. Doing some pretty good damage there. The sleep comes out from Knight, just as that Nano comes out as well. Big Maywall there completely cuts Big Warrior off. He's probably in the worst position he could have been as the ultimate from Despair comes out. Doesn't manage to find anybody. Oh, the May manages to lock herself away at the last second. Jay Raynor goes down the Ashe. Skylar gets taken down by Zarya. Knight lasts alive, trying to run back. Ooh, the nade there to keep himself alive at the last second. Ult economy for Endicott does look pretty strong here. They're going to have that Zarya ultimate as well as the Blizzard from May. UNH does nearly have Nano, Wu Yang, and the ultimate for Big Warrior out there. Zarya ultimate comes out quickly, just manages to find Big Warrior, but Despair goes down to the Ashe. I didn't even notice the swap onto the Sojourn there. Big Warrior barely able to stay alive here. That Nemesis form coming in clutch there, that damage reduction, but it does end up falling at the last second to Zarya. Knight and Skylar last alive. Knight goes down. I assume, oh, Skylar races back into spawn to stay alive. Not looking too great for UNH. They haven't even had a chance to start capping this first checkpoint yet, down to a minute 30. Does seem like Endicott has a pretty good lineup for their Hollywood defense here, same as they had on attack. This just might be a map that they've practiced quite a lot. Once again, that Maywall comes out, Nano comes out, the ultimate for the Ramatra comes out, Bob comes flying out, Lucio ultimate goes out as well. Knight does end up going down to that May. Those icicle lines up really well. Skylar does have ultimate is here. You could see it pop out at the last second, but unfortunately not. Bob doing too much damage. Forces Despair back. He ends up going down to the Zarya as well. A minute to go. UNH will have 2 ultimates online for this next push here. You can see 1, maybe 2 more team fights. if UNH doesn't manage to cap this first checkpoint. Endicott, in the meantime, probably will have Nano up in time for the next big team fight here. Jay Rayner is deep in that back line. The Ashe, though, has been constantly locking him back, trying to lock some shots in onto that Mei there. She's been a really big issue for UNH to deal with. Looks for the pulse bomb, doesn't find the stick. Good recall to keep himself alive. Nearly goes back down to the Ashe. Nano's ready for Endicott. Speaking of Nano, there it goes, but a really big anti-heal comes out. Wu Yang ultimate comes out as well. Jay Rayner manages to take down their Ashe, but he goes down. Despair goes down. Big Warrior and Skylar, last two alive for UNH here. They have to get on point to hopefully get some overtime going. Endicott is down one healer here. They could definitely make a last-second push here. They're not going to have any ults to help them do it. He's trying to get in there, but the boop away from Lucio barely lets him get back online at the last second there. They are going to have overtime to work with. That Maywall is going to come through. Overtime timer barely gets saved there. Jay Rayner dashed in the last second. Doesn't have recall, though. He ends up going down to the Zarya. Big Warrior tries to force his way on the site, but the boop combined with the sleep means they won't be able to get on there. Endicott will walk over the second map, going up 2-0 over the series. That was a bit more of a definitive loss compared to the last round. It doesn't seem like UNH really was able to deal with those Maywalls. They were the biggest part of that Endicott lineup, and they were absolutely horrid for this UNH team to try to deal with. And we are back for our third map here. It's going to be on Rialto. UNH going to be starting off on defense. We'll see what Big Warrior decides to go with after the Ramatra ban. Looks like it might be locking in on the Hazard. We've seen that quite often in the regular season. Could be interesting to see how he uses it in this Grand Finals match. Of course, Endicott will be up 2-0 to start. UNH definitely doesn't want to put this game to match point already. See if they can't pull off a win here. You see Blackout locking in the Hanzo. No Jay Rayner this time, a little substitution there. Despair going to be locking in the Echo. Knight and Skylar on the support, of course. Knight taking the Kiriko. Skylar on Wu Yang.
5, 4,
Do see a pretty interesting lineup from Endicott here. Not sure if that Widow will stay. Could see it stay for just a few seconds here.
stop the payload.
Big Warrior spots out that Widow, takes a shot from her. Do see that the Diva makes an appearance for Endicott as well as a Genji, Lucio, Ana to round it out. You could definitely see some Nano Blades being their focus here. UNH wants to let him push this payload up just a little bit so they can have the choke point here as well as that height advantage. You see Big Warrior kind of bouncing around, doing some good damage on that Widow, forcing her back quickly. Despair, of course, on that Echo could be huge there. The beam comes out, nearly finds the kill onto that Genji, forces him back as Widow goes down to Big Warrior pretty quickly here. Of course, Big Warrior has always been a great tank. Hazard's one of the many in his wheelhouse. You could see him making great plays with that. Runs down the Ana. She goes down to Skylar. Genji pretty low HP as well. Suzu comes out for Knight, keeping everybody alive. Big Warrior finds 2. Skylar finds one of his own. Last alive for Endicott, going to be that Ashe. See Blackout on that Hanzo. Playing back quite a bit here. Going to use that height as well as that distance to his advantage. Skylar, of course, just me playing around corners here, using that Wu Yang projectile to do some good damage from far away. Big Warrior takes some of that dynamite there, lets that burn hit him. It's going to be racking up his ultimate, which he already has pretty high up there, already at 85%. That could be a huge ultimate to see come out early, especially to shut down any sort of ultimate that Endicott might throw out there. As Despair gets in that back line, trying to do some pretty big damage before they turn around on him. Genji takes some pretty good damage. Blackout takes some damage in that back line. The ultimate from Big Warrior comes out, helps him secure the kill on that Ashe, doesn't allow her to coach gun away. Gonna keep using this height to an advantage. He forces that Genji back as well. He takes quite a lot of damage. Despair nearly locks that kill in. Blackout gonna have his ultimate up soon as well. Despair, Skylar, and Knight each at about 60 to 70%. Meanwhile, Endicott really only has their support ultimates about ready to go. That Kiriko and the Lucio ultimate both at about 70%. Despair starts getting ran down by pretty much their entire team. They go around that corner, but they suffer a Kiriko loss for it. As Big Warrior now starts taking a lot of damage. He ends up going down, but he takes the... no, that Kiriko was already down. He ends up going down to the Diva. Forces UNH to back up quite a bit as they lose their tank here. You could see Blackout try to throw an ultimate out to delay them here. He just have that ready to go. Despair almost has duplication ready up. Or ready. I don't know why I used 2 different synonyms there. See a lot of UNH starts going around that corner there to force the Ashe away. The Hanzo ultimate comes out far enough away that the Diva can't try to eat it. But forces him back off the payload a little bit, gives him the chance to come back towards it. The Ashe takes pretty good damage from Despair there. He's trying to get his duplication ready. He almost has it. The Kiriko ultimate comes out as well as the Wu Yang ultimate. Despair ends up ultimately going down. The huge Suzu there out of Endicott's Kiriko shuts down the Wu Yang ultimate completely. The Diva bomb comes out as well. Kiriko rush from Knight comes out, but the first checkpoint does end up getting capped by Endicott. They'll put some more time back on their clock. They're going to have a lot more ultimates ready to go this time than previously. Despair does have ultimate up to go, but Endicott will be working with both Bob and the Lucio beat. Also about to have that Genji Blade online. They don't have the Ana anymore, so there will be no Nano Blade, but that Genji Blade is still dangerous in of its own self. Despair taking quite a bit of damage there from that Ashe's dynamite as UNH kind of waits for that payload to push in around the corner so they can have a bit of a better choke point, using that height to their advantage as well. Runs that Genji down, does some pretty good damage on him, forces him back as a duplication comes out from Despair. Tries to copy Diva, doesn't end up getting the Diva bomb off or gets to remech, but doesn't manage to escape. Bob does take down Skylar though. Big Warrior goes down as well to the Lucio. Bob comes in from the back. The Genji slash shuts that down as well. UNH going to take the team kill so they can all respawn at somewhat the same time here. They don't want to have a... They don't want to... They don't want to be staggered too hard here as Endicott takes a second checkpoint. They're going to have 3 minutes, 45 seconds on their clock to push in towards the final point here. UNH definitely doesn't want to allow that because they don't want to force this all the way into overtime. They much rather just have a clean win here. Do you see Blackout and Despair? They each make a change there. Blackout locking in the Genji, Despair going on to Sojourn. Endicott's going to have that Genji Blade and Lucio Boop still online. Those two ultimates were unaffected. Big Warrior's going to have his ultimate up as well. He goes diving in towards that Ashe, forces the Suzu to come out. Definitely see him going for his ultimate here as they force out that Suzu, which could be big. Speaking of the ultimate, it comes out. Lucio goes down to Despair. Blackout finds one of his on. The mech gets taken down by Despair, and he finishes off the Baby Diva as well. A big pushback from UNH there is going to force this Endicott team back towards their spawn room if they don't want to get staggered too harshly. Still no ultimates used by Endicott. Once again, Genji Blade and Lucio Boop still online as Knight goes down to their Kiriko. Diva Bomb comes online as well. Genji Blade does finally come out for Endicott, but he gets shut down as Big Warrior finds two quickly. What a play from him. Ashe does manage to take out Blackout there as Big Warrior goes diving back towards the Wu Yang for the healing. The Suzu just got used there. Might not be able to save him from the Diva Bomb. Doesn't actually find any kills. Wu Yang ultimate comes out. Big Warrior goes diving in towards that point there. Doesn't manage to get the knockback with that Wu Yang up, but it does allow him to stay alive for some time longer. Knight about to Kitsune Rush online as the Kitsune Rush for Endicott comes out. Trying to keep that backline alive from the distance as Big Warrior goes diving in towards that backline. Blackout as well does end up getting taken down, but the Lucio Boop does come out. Big Suzu there comes out now as Big Warrior stays alive through the efforts of both Skylar and Knight here. Some really good healing from both of them, but in the backline they actually get taken down now. Last alive Big Warrior on the point does end up falling, and Endicott takes a quick 3-0 lead in this first round. 2 minutes left on their clock. UNH now has to hope to force this map into overtime to avoid going to match point, or game point rather.
Initiating match. Ready for battle.
UNH making some swaps in their lineup here for attack. You see Despair hopping in on the Ashe, Blackout returning to Genji. Looks like Big Warrior might want to go to the Diva here. Maybe a bit more of a mirror matchup against Endicott's Diva.
Five, four, three, two, one. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
UNH going to get started on attack here. They start pushing that payload quickly. It looks like Endicott has the same idea that UNH did. They want to let them get around that corner before they really start the big engagements here. Using that height to their advantage as the Dynamite from Despair comes out, finding that Diva doing some good damage with the burn. Blackout and Knight kind of fighting the other Genji and Lucio around that corner there. Despair trying to get set up on a long angle there to help deal some damage to that Kiriko on the back line. Just find a few shots that land on her. Ultimates for both sides starting to get built up rather quickly here. Despair approaching 30% at the same time the Endicott Kiriko gets up to about 40%. You could see some Kitsune rushes and bobs getting thrown out pretty early. Despair, it looks like UNH wants to go in for more of a push in towards their backline before they get started on that payload. A lot of damage being done from both sides. Nobody going down quite yet. Big Warrior doesn't end up getting demeched. Despair goes down to that Dynamite. The burn damage too much as Big Warrior does end up finally going down. Blackout gets the kill on that mirror matchup, taking down their Genji. Does end up falling down to their Lucio's Knight, barely staying alive with Lucio. Tries to hunt down their Kiriko, unable to do so. Goes down right as that Suzu gets popped. Team kill for Endicott now, and UNH will try to take some time here to regroup before they start up their next push towards the payload. Trying to get this payload pushed out around this corner. Endicott doing a pretty good job here contesting, not allowing the big warrior to push it much further than about halfway. Blackout once again trying to get involved in this backline. Does run into there. Genji and Lucio, Knight helping him out. Ultimates for Endicott are online pretty quickly here. Both Kitsune Rush and Diva Bomb ready to go for them. Blackout does nearly find the kill on that Genji once again, trying to prove he's better in that mirror matchup, and he does. Now he's going to have that dash reset. Also nearly has Genji Blade as Diva Bomb comes out for Endicott. Big Warrior's going to have his own Diva Bomb ready to go now. Skylar gets Kitsune Rush about online. Lucio Boop online for both teams in a few seconds. Despair does have Bob getting ticked up towards ready to go here, about 90%. Despair staying on the payload as Restless UNH team tries to keep Endicott from getting back into this. They don't want to let them delay this push any longer than they already have. As time ticks down to just under a minute 30, you're going to see both Kitsune, or one Kitsune Rush gets popped out for Endicott. There goes Skylar's ultimate as well. Despair keeping himself alive there in the back, just barely able to avoid that dynamite to stay alive. UNH trying to push the payload just a little bit further as both Lucio ultimates come out now. The Bob for Despair comes out. Both Genji Blades fly out as well. Takes down the Lucio with it as Despair goes down to that Genji Blade. Blackout in the background doing some really good damage to the Ashe. Unable to find that last hit to kill him. They do barely manage to cap that point just before Bob can get there the last second. They end up demeching that Diva, and they're all just going to wait around this corner for Bob to go away as the baby Diva just goes off the edge, I guess. I guess it's faster than waiting to get remeched. Pretty much every ultimate for both teams ended up getting used there. Ult economy for both teams kind of in shambles right now, but Endicott will have that Diva Bomb ready to go soon enough, as well as the Kiriko ultimate about halfway to go. Blackout with the deflect there keeps himself alive from that Diva kind of onslaught. Teleporting from Skylar keeps him up as well. Despair does end up going down in his mirror matchup there. Ashe just find that kill, but Big Warrior takes down the Genji for the trade. That burn comes out, smacks Blackout with it a little bit. Big Warrior trying to get up on that second floor, trying to force them off that height advantage. Does get the Diva to drop with them, does some pretty good damage. Chases the Kiriko back as well. Blackout trying to get involved on that Ashe, does force her to coach gun away. Big Warrior about halfway to his ultimate as their Diva has ultimate ready to go. You could see that making an appearance very quickly here. Maybe want to bait out that Suzu before throwing it. They're going to have Kitsune Rush online as well. Skylar's working towards his at 85% right now. There's a Kitsune Rush for Endicott as Big Warrior goes diving in towards this Diva, the Genji, forces him off his backline. Skylar goes down and Knight gets taken down by the Lucio. Nearly takes out their Lucio for the trade, but he's able to skate back away. Big Warrior ends up getting demech'd. Looks like he got booped off the edge there by their Diva. UNH's going to take a few seconds to wait for Big Warrior's respawn as their economy starts to shape back up for the better. Skylar and Knight both about to have those support ultimates. Big Warrior about to have his ultimate online as well. Do see Despair starting to get Bob kicked up here with these long shots, but there the Ashe on Endicott is going to have Bob ready to go as he just quickly taps Despair down. A quick little headshot there to put him on a respawn timer. If Bob makes an appearance here, that could be bad for UNH. Blackout ends up going down to that Ashe as well, give her a double kill. Knight and Skylar tried to chase the Genji down, or the Lucio down, but he ends up skating away just fine. Big Warrior ends up going off the map himself to get respawned with his team. As time ticks down to a minute, they're about halfway towards their second checkpoint. UNH is going to have to win these next team fight, or the second one if it happens, if they want to cap this second point quickly. 3 ultimates for UNH versus the 2 ready for Endicott here. See Despair trying to get a different angle here to try to take down their Ashe. He does spot him, but gets spotted in return. Blackout trying to get involved in that backline. He's about to have Genji Blade online as Big Warrior runs their Ashe down, takes them down. That'll be no Bob for the foreseeable future. That could be big into pushing this point now. Oh my god, that camera angle made me think that Blackout just died. But the Kitsune Rush for Skylar comes out. Big Warrior runs their team back towards their spawn now. You could definitely see him throwing that Diva Bomb out to delay a bit longer as UNH has 2 ultimates ready to go. Endicott will have 3, make it nearly 4. Now it's 3 ultimates for UNH. Despair is trying to deal with that Ashe in the backline, but she's just playing around this corner, tapping Despair in the head a whole bunch, but he stays alive. Lucio ultimate for Endicott comes out. Genji Blade for both sides comes out. Bob for Endicott gets flown out. Suzu gets baited out as Blackout in the backline finds the Kiriko, finds the Ashe as well, give him the good double kill. It's overtime now, but every team is pretty much on the point. The Diva Bomb for Big Warrior comes out, doesn't find any kills. The Diva Bomb did also end up getting used for Endicott. I didn't find any kills. Blackout does finally end up dying in that backline as Endicott tries to make this final stand on the payload. They don't want to let them have the second checkpoint for free. Another dash from this Endicott team onto the point there. Genji does end up getting taken down by Big Warrior. It's a double kill for him. Make it nearly a triple kill as Despair gets that final tap on the Lucio. The Kiriko last to fall for Endicott. UNH captures that second checkpoint. They're going to have a minute 30 to make a push towards the final objective here. Plus, it does look like UNH will have the healthier ult economy here. They do have Bob ready to go for Despair. Skylar 70% to Kitsune Rush, as Endicott only has Kitsune Rush for the moment. They do make a swap over to Zarya, as well as Reaper. No more Genji mirror matchup here. Despair trying to get this off angle on the Zarya to help do some damage. I did not even realize that Big Warrior also made the swap to Zarya, so they're going to keep going with that mirror matchup. Good knock up from Bob on the Reaper. They're going to force him to Wraith form away. Turns the corner on the Ashe, hits him a little bit. Kitsune Rush for Endicott comes out there. Skylar doesn't quite have it online yet. Looks like UNH will just back out for the moment. Wait for that to expire as Bob does end up going down at the end there. Skylar has ultimate up in just a few seconds here. Kitsune Rush ready to go. Big Warrior keeping in time with the ultimate for their Zarya. The Kitsune Rush just come out, helps Blackout secure the kill on one. He takes down that Lucio. Big Warrior goes driving in that background as Blackout finds two. Looks like he might go for a third. Does find a third. Big Warrior takes down that Ashe as well, and we're going to overtime as UNH finds that team kill. The only difference now will be the time difference in overtime. Endicott's going to have 2 minutes 45 seconds, and UNH will be relegated to just 1 minute. Tense match here from both sides.
Ready for battle.
UNH will have their, we'll start off on attack here, so they'll have the first opportunity to set how far the payload needs to get pushed here. They're not going to have much time on the clock there, as they'll only get the 1 minute despite everything, but they could definitely do a lot with just 1 minute here. Big Warrior going to be sticking with the Zarya as the Endicott tank swaps back to Diva. Endicott bringing the Genji and the Ashe back, as well as the Lucio Kiriko. UNH bringing pretty much a mirror matchup, except for the Zarya Cassidy. Despair going to be on Cassidy. Blackout staying on the Genji. He's been enjoying those mirror matches. They've been going in his favor for the most part. As you see, both the Genji and the Lucio there on that left side corner, they're going to be constantly going back and forth as they did in the first match. Does look like UNH wants to stick to the staying on the payload a bit more instead of kind of having those brawls all over the place. As Despair gets the first pick onto the Endicott's Kiriko. That's big. That's a big source of healing gone early. That could definitely work out heavily in their favor. That Ashe out there on the backside, they're trying to use that height advantage to her play there, but you just see UNH quickly coming up that staircase to try to force Endicott back towards that bridge instead. The beam from Big Warrior is going to just be an absolutely perfect counter to the Diva, and the Genji there manages to demech the Diva at the last possible second. That'll be huge for this push now. It'll be very difficult for Endicott to really tank a lot of damage without that mech, as Despair with that right click does end up getting the bleed damage onto the Ashe. Despair ends up going down, but Blackout finds one. Give him a second as Big Warrior takes down the Lucio. UNH gets the first checkpoint. Still, it will be overtime for them. They're going to delay killing this Genji as long as possible. He's going to be staggered pretty heavily from the fight here, as you see that Endicott makes a swap to Zarya. Going to be another mirror matchup here. Pretty much an entire mirror matchup for giving the Cassidy and the Ashe difference. In terms of ult economy, UNH almost has the Lucio ultimate as well as High Noon. Big Warrior quickly working towards his ultimate as well. That Graphitic Flux could be huge. Endicott, meanwhile, is going to have the Kiriko Kitsune Rush online pretty soon. That Suzu comes out quickly. That could be big. If Despair can get a good angle on this High Noon, that could absolutely decide one of these team fights as he lands another right click on that Genji. That bleed damage is going to be big. Big Warrior gonna have ultimate ready to go. The Suzu comes out for UNH there as the burn, finds a few of them. Blackout getting involved in that backline there. He's gonna be forced back from all 5 team members pushing him out. Despair's gonna have ultimate now as the Graphitic Flux goes out for Big Warrior. That's gonna help. Oh, that's a huge play from Blackout there. Kitsune Rush comes out, but Endicott's only gonna have one member left now. As Big Warrior gets his own double kill. Blackout and Knight just tormenting this Ashe. They do end up finally securing the kill as UNH gets the second checkpoint. That'll be another team kill for UNH, and they're going to force the Endicott team there to teleport to the further spawn room instead of staying up close like they maybe have wanted to. Endicott going to be swapping out the Genji for the Mei there. The mirror matchup ends up going in Blackout's favor. You can definitely type Genji diff if you wanted to. But of course, no toxicity. Kitsune Rush comes out for Skylar. UNH still has 3 ultimates, about to be 3 ultimates online. Both Boop and High Noon ready to go. Blackout about to have that Genji blade, of course, and that could be absolutely a huge deciding factor on the back line. There goes the High Noon. Looks like he's going to lock in at least 2. Does at least find the Mei with it. Does some good damage in that back line as well. Bob comes out. Tries to hinder that Lucio out of his ultimate, but both Boops end up coming out. Bob on the point, trying to delay there for a bit, but a huge dash from Blackout shuts down their Lucio. There, Kiriko goes down to Knight, and the Bob does end up jumping away, but it looks like UNH is in a really good position here to get a 6-3 lead, and they do. They manage to delay long enough to spare with the final kill there at the end. Oh, huge attack round from UNH there. They managed to get as many points as possible on the board with as little time as possible. Now they have to play defense for 2 minutes 45 seconds, and they have to stop Endicott from turning this into a 6-6 game. I'm not sure how the competitive rules with this go, if it ends in a tie, if it goes to another overtime, but hopefully we don't have to find out.
Ready for battle.
Looks like UNH might have liked the lineup they had on attack here. They might be bringing a similar one to defense, and they end up do as Knight sticks with the Lucio. Meanwhile, on Endicott's side, they bring out the lineup they had in the initial attack round. They're gonna bring out that Ashe, Genji, Diva, Lucio, and Kiriko.
Five, four, three, two, one. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Big Warrior gonna be sticking with that Zarya. Really good counter to both Diva and Genji here. Both deflect and the defense matrix absolutely useless, as some good damage there. Nearly takes the Ashe out early. Might have been Despair with that right click. Big Warrior, of course, gonna keep that beam energy up high, getting some really good bubbles out there, especially with that Diva constantly trying to dive on top of him. You know, he's gonna quickly wrap around towards the payload here. They're gonna keep using this height advantage in their playstyle here, of course. They like this balcony that the building here provides. Blackout once again tries to get the Genji diff, but ends up going down to the Genji this time. That dash through his deflect does manage to take him down. Despair ends up going down to the Diva here. Big Warrior unable to get around in time to help make a trade there. As Knight goes diving in on this Ashe, Big Warrior and him both able to help secure that kill. As they try to delay this payload as long as possible, Big Warrior does get on there at the last second. Not going to really have any heals though, but Blackout's going to stay on the point, contesting it for just a little bit longer. A good deflect there, keeps himself alive for a little bit longer. Despair does end up taking down the Kiriko, as Blackout continues to dance around the site here. Nearly ends up demeching the Diva there at the last second. Knight, the final one alive for UNH at the end, does end up just taking that spawn room swap back towards the further spawn room. UNH did manage to delay long enough for Endicott only to have a minute left to go. They're going to get about halfway towards the second checkpoint before UNH starts up the second team fight. Just be careful with that Genji deflect as you see Blackout start diving in towards the Ashe there. The coach got away. Ult economy for both teams here, a little bit of a difference as Endicott will both have Kitsune Rush and the Diva Bomb ready to go already. There goes the Kitsune Rush as Despair quickly goes down to the Genji. The Kiriko finds a kill on the Big Warrior. Blackout goes down as well. Knight gonna go down, and last alive Skylar. will end up falling last. That'll be a team kill for Endicott. Despair is not even going to wait for High Noon to swap, making the swap over to Mei, another beam character, or beam-like character, I guess, for UNH. As they have that Big Warrior Gravitic Flux online, they're about to have Kitsune Rush online from Skylar, and Blackout's going to have Genji Blade online soon. They definitely want to bait out that Lucio ultimate before they try to use any of those big damage ultimates. Endicott, meanwhile, is going to have both Blade and Bob ready to go here shortly. There goes Blade. Bob ready to go as well. But he actually, Despair with the Icicles, managed to secure that kill. Kitsune Rush comes out as well. Deluciate Boop. Diva Bomb, Graphitic Flux, and Lucio Boop all go up. Big Warrior ends up going down to that, but Despair finds 2. Blackout finds another one, and UNH will walk away with the win off the team kill because that will be the overtime. UNH makes it 2-1 now. They refuse to let it go to match point this early. And we'll be back for game 4 shortly. Game 4. And we are back for game 4. It's going to be on New Queen Street. Looks like Blackout is staying in the game with Despair, Big Warrior, Knight, and Skylar. See how UNH does on the first push map of the series so far. See if they can't tie this game back up at 2-2 with this one.
Ready for battle.
About to be underway here. You do see Big Warrior on the Ramatra, Knight and Skylar going to be on Kiriko and Wu Yang respectively. Despair going to be on the Sojourn, and Blackout going to be returning to Genji. As on the side of Endicott College, you're going to see the Junker Queen making a return. Sojourn mirror matchup, as well as Tracer, Wu Yang, and Kiriko. So some mirror matchups, some that'll be interesting to see. See how Big Warrior reacts to the Junker Queen as Ramatra, of course. Ramatra's best into shield tanks, but see what he can do against the Junker Queen. Despair taking quite a bit of damage there early, as you see Blackout and Knight on the side there trying to work on the Wu Yang and Tracer. It's a 2v2 in one position as Blackout finds the first kill, taking that Wu Yang down swiftly with the melee. Now their team getting to work on the bot yet as Blackout stays off towards the center here a bit. Doing some pretty good poke damage, trying to get in towards that Kiriko. The Sojourn and the Tracer, as well as that Junker Queen, all try to make sure he stays away from the supports. Looks like UNH will not get the first. Oh, Big Warrior finds a kill into the tank. Despair shuts down the Kiriko. Quick 3v2 situation. Now UNH is going to take this time to start getting the bot pushed forward a little bit. UNH does have a little bit of the edge in the ult economy here, but Edincott's Kiriko going to be halfway towards Kitsune Rush. That could be the first ultimate we see make an appearance. You see some members of UNH, especially Blackout and Knight here, are just straight up in their spawn. They're trying to get in towards the backline here as Big Warrior starts to get collapsed in on, as well as Despair tries to block some of that damage, forces the Tracer to use the recall. A good E there from Big Warrior right in that choke point. Gonna get some pretty good damage out of that as Endicott hijacks the bot before UNH can get that forward spawn unlocked. Good right click from the Despair, that real charge shot. Gonna take out the Wu Yang. That's gonna be one support gone for Endicott. UNH, of course, still in a five-man formation here. Big Warrior doing some really good damage reduction in the Nemesis form. Takes down the Sojourn now as well. Does take quite a bit of damage for it. Ends up going down to the Tracer, who recalls out of there. Kitsune Rush comes out for Endicott as Blackout takes some good damage. Barely able to escape there, but the Tracer's trying to secure in on him. The Suzu comes out, keeping him alive. Junker Queen and Tracer trying to run the backline down. There's Wu Yang ultimate comes out on the Kiriko, keeping her alive. Big Warrior about to have his ultimate online. Same with Knight, as the Pulse Bomb is online for the Tracer. Looks like Endicott might be able to catch up in progress here with the bot as Big Warrior starts to come around this corner for the next team fight here. They do barely manage to keep the advantage as Despair does have Overclock online. Big Warrior about to have his ultimate on his online as well. That Kiriko gets shut down by Despair, pops Overclocks, trying to get some of those right clicks off. Looking for that Kiriko, doesn't manage to find her. They force Endicott back away from the bot, start pushing it back towards this first checkpoint. Knight and Big Warrior each about to have ultimates. The Junker Queen about to have her ultimate as well. Same with the Overclock on Endicott. But Skylar gets the kill. It's that early kill on the Sojourn. Now it's going to be a good 5v4 for UNH. You do see Big Warrior starting to run in towards that backline. The Kiriko's teleport doesn't take her far enough away. Does manage to pop the ultimate there. Starts running the Junker Queen down. She tries to get back in towards that backline. Unable to do so. Blackout's going to be holding on to his ultimate. But Endicot's going to have a really healthy ult economy coming out of spawn here. They're going to have 4 ultimates ready to go. You could definitely see all of those being popped relatively quickly within tandem with one another. That Wu Yang ultimate could be really good for the Junker Queen ultimate, but if UNH can save Suzu for long enough, that could be really big plays. Big Warrior starts to get ran down there. The Sojourn popping the Overclock does end up finding Skylar. Suzu gets popped. Knight goes down. Big Warrior goes down. Blackout and Despair, last 2 alive. Despair goes down. Blackout maybe trying to get a trade out. Nearly finds the Sojourn, but unable to do so. He ends up pulling out for the team kill, but UNH will have access to forward spawn before Endicott can push to shut down that forward spawn. Endicott does manage to take the bot back towards the center there. The forward spawn will be disabled for the future, for the near future, as Endicott holds on to 4 ultimates. Skylar nearly goes down. Despair takes quite a bit of damage, but he stays alive. Blackout and Skylar each gonna have ultimate for UNH here. Blackout does quickly get a kill onto the Sojourn as the Wu Yang ultimate comes out onto the Junker Queen, I believe. The Junker Queen ultimate also comes out, same with Pulse Bomb. Pulse Bomb doesn't find anybody. Kitsune Rush comes out as well as Knight goes down to the Tracer. Blackout trying to get in that back line. Looks like he wanted to go for Blade there. Wu Yang ultimate comes out. He does pop Blade. Starts running the Kiriko down. She teleports away. Does get the knockdown on the Junker Queen as Skylar finds one. Despair finds one. Give one to Blackout. Give 2 to Blackout. Last alive for Endicott will be their Sojourn. She's going to stay back towards spawn and wait for her team as UNH. In the meantime, we'll try to maybe take forward spawn back quickly. 5 minutes to go here. UNH does have about double the distance that Endicott does with the bot. Meanwhile, Alt Economy on either side has ultimates up right now, but Despair will have Overclock ready to go pretty quickly. Big Warrior about 70% towards his ultimate, and Knight about halfway towards Kitsune Rush. No real swaps for either side yet. Big Warrior staying on the Ramattra. Blackout not wanting to hop off Genji quite yet, as he did have a really big blade back there just a few seconds ago. UNH did manage to take that forward spawn. It doesn't look like they're interested in pushing much further than that. They're going to let Endicott take the bot back, but they're going to delay them from getting it back towards the center. Despair looking for that right click. Does manage to bring out the Suzu. Manages to run away from the Carnage, but Blackout goes down. Knight gets a trade though, 1 for 1. Despair does have Overclock ready to go. Could definitely be looking for 1 kill here before he pops it. He just pops it right quick. Starts running the Junker Queen down as Knight takes down that Tracer. No dash to try to keep up going with this here. He's looking for those right clicks, but does look like that Endicott was smart enough to hit around the corners as the Kitsune Rush comes out from Knight, now allowing him to start pushing the barricade once again. Knight going to be running up towards that Sojourn. Does pop the Suzu, takes down the Tracer, does some really good damage onto the Sojourn as well. You see the ultimate for Big Warrior comes out, keeping himself alive long enough for the healing from Knight to come back. So it's a 5v2 now for UNH. They're starting to push up. They're getting about 100 meters from the center there. About halfway towards the final objective here. You could definitely see them trying to take that last objective before Endicott can get all of their ultimates online. They're about to have 5 ultimates ready to go. Skylar has his ultimate ready to go, but not sure if that'll be enough to hold off every ultimate from Endicott potentially being used there. There goes Overclock. There, Yu Yang does go down before he can throw his ultimate down, but the ultimate does get landed from Skylar onto Big Warrior. The ultimate for the Drunker Queen comes out. Kitsune Rush hasn't made an appearance yet. Actually ends up going down to the to Blackout there. Takes down the Kiriko. It's pretty much a 2v2 now, but the rest of Endicott will be quickly coming back. They managed to take down the Junker Queen. Blackout with a few more dashes finally gets taken down by the Kiriko. UNH going to be using this forward spawn to wait for a few seconds until the rest of their team comes back.
Fall in on me.
UNH does all manage to get respawned before Endicott can take back forward spawn. You see Despair trying to be a little bit annoying here with Skylar, both kind of sticking to this corner, doing some pretty good damage. Endicott hasn't started pushing their barricade in a little bit of time here, and UNH wants to keep that trend going. Blackout does take a little bit of damage from that Wu Yang there. That Kiriko also trying to be annoying. He does spot that Wu Yang's kind of low in that back line, but see if he can do anything with it. Does manage to get to that health pack in time. Starts to do some really good damage on the Sojourn. First Horde to run back. In the meantime, though, 3 members of UNH fall to the Kitsune Rush that was used. Make that a team kill. The Kitsune Rush for Endicott there, a big contributor to their success, but UNH's alt economy is also about to come back online now. Big Warrior and Despair about 85%. Blackout has Blade ready to go. Knight nearly has Kitsune Rush. Meanwhile, Endicott has Pulse Bomb and Wu Yang ultimate ready to go. They do. Endicott does end up getting their forward spawn here, so that'll be big for them for their upcoming defense, assuming UNH is able to walk away with a team fight win here. The Junker Queen takes quite a lot of damage, has to use her shout to get away, but the Pulse Bomb ends up sticking to Despair. He goes down, but the Blade in the back does help Big Warrior find one. Finds a second on the Wu Yang, but Kiriko shuts him down before Blackout can do much more than that. Does look like Endicott's just going to head back and let their forward spawn do some of the work for them here. UNH will have Overclock and Big Warrior's ultimate ready to go. Also, Kitsune Rush should be coming online pretty soon. They do manage to take the forward spawn back, but they don't want to push it much more further than that. Only a minute left to go. UNH has about double the lead that Endicott does with the robot here. Now their side working with forward spawn, but you see Despair looking around the corner. He definitely wants to get a really good overclock play here, especially combine that with Kitsune Rush and Big Warrior's ultimate. Speaking of overclock, that goes off. They do turn around to face Despair rather, but in the meantime, the Kitsune Rush comes out. Big Warrior finds two. The ultimate comes out, but the Sojourn is able to run away long enough for him not to be able to do much. Last remaining member for Endicott on the point would be their Kiriko. It ends up going down to Knight. I don't know if UNH wants to push this much further than their forward spawn location, and then they might want to just back off the robot and force it into overtime here. Ult economy for Endicott, about to have two ultimates online, the Drunk Queen ultimate at 80%. Meanwhile, UNH only really has Skylar's ultimate on the Wu Yang. They do end up taking that forward spawn, but they are going to back off the bot, just as I thought. Time just going to go under 10 or under the limit here. Overtime going to start. Wu Yang ultimate for Endicott comes out just as Blackout gets taken down by the Sojourn. Big Warrior gets brought back in by that Drunker Queen's hook there. Another knife lands, pulling him back in there. Skylar goes down before he can use his ult for all of his troubles. Knight ends up going down. Last alive Big Warrior falls as well. They do have forward spawn, but I don't know if it's going to be up long enough for all of the respawns. Looks like Skylar will get that respawn, but Despair, Knight, and Big Warrior have to run back from where they are currently. In terms of ultimate here, Endicott does have the advantage with that Junker Queen and Overclock, but Skylar does have his ultimate ready to go. Knight and Big Warrior about halfway to their ultimates. And then Endicott managing to secure their forward spawn now, so assuming that they don't get team killed, they can try to have another big fight here. The Suze comes out onto that Junker Queen. Kitsune Rush comes out for Endicott. That Tracer trying to get in the backline there. Skylar trying to keep Big Warrior alive. He takes quite a bit of damage. Overclock comes out. Wu Yang ultimate comes out on the Big Warrior. He has to try to get in that backline to do something now. Doesn't look like he got any knockoffs though, as the Tracer goes down to Blackout with a deflect on the Sojourn's E ability. That's pretty impressive. They know that Junker Queen has their ultimate ready to go. That could be a really big anti-heal, but if Knight still has Suzu, they can just cleanse that right away. As Big Warrior takes on the Wu Yang, the ultimate for Junker Queen comes out. The Kiriko goes down to Big Warrior. Skylar goes down to the Junker Queen. Looks like there's one remaining member of Endicott on the point, and Junker Queen is the last to fall. UNH ties it back up at 2-2. Winner of Game 5 decides which team has to fight for match point next. We are back and ready for game 5 here. It looks like UNH will be starting on defense for Watch Point Gibraltar. You're going to see Big Warrior hopping in on the Diva. Knight and Skylar are going to be rounding out their supports with the same old Kiriko and Wu Yang. Blackout and Despair on the DPS. Blackout and Genji. Despair with Ashe. Meanwhile, a bit of a mirror matchup with some of the characters for Endicott here. They're going to have the Diva, Kiriko as well. Those are really going to be breaking out the Widow and then the Genji. Lucio rounding out their supports. We'll see if Blackout can have another amazing Genji diff game. That was really fun to watch on Rialto. Rialto, of course, was their first win. They snowballed that into a second win. We'll see if they can't snowball that into a match point, maybe. Oh, but Blackout quickly goes down to the Widow headshot. Maybe I should stop talking. I might be Kevin Harlan with the caster's curse here, but Despair does some pretty good damage on that Lucio, but he's getting booped back around towards his supports. They're trying to shut him down. Diva does end up finding that kill as well. You're just gonna have to back off that payload a little bit, allow Endicott to have a little bit more space than they maybe would have liked to. Big Warrior turns right around on those supports, forces them away from the Diva. What a good play from him. The defense matrix helped eat it up, gets that melee down onto the mech, takes out the Diva completely. Maybe if UNH can't zip out there quick enough to stall that payload, it does look like Blackout will get there just in time to stop them from pushing much further. UNH stops him from taking that first checkpoint really quick there, which is a really good play from them. Forces the Kiriko back off the height. Big Warrior wants to stay up top, wants to make sure that Widow doesn't get another early pick like last time. Good defense matrix there, play as well. Big Warrior about to have that Diva Bomb online already, very quickly getting his ultimate. You see Despair hops off the Ashe on the Cassidy, a bit better with that Hinder. Could be really big against both the Genji and the Lucio. As you see Despair gets ran down by the Widow a little bit, or not the Widow, by the Diva. Blackout does try to get involved, taking out that Widow, but gets hit by that Venom Mine. That ends up doing him in as Big Warrior goes down to that Kiriko now. 3v5, make that a 2v5 as the Widow finds a second pick on the Skylar. Despair trying to get something going here, maybe get one more pick for his life, but that Widow comes around the corner, helps secure that kill onto him. Last alive Knight does go down to the Diva, and it looks like UNH will just take their time to wait and grab the spawn swap back to the spawn room. UNH will get all their respawns just as that Widow ultimate did get used, but you see that Widow swaps onto Tracer now. Got enough utility out of what they wanted with the Widow. Big Warrior trying to contest through that height there. Looks like this Endicott team really likes to stay up here on this ship as Big Warrior comes in on a flank there, tries to cut the Genji off from getting the health pack, but instead just ends up getting demaxed for it. Kiriko Rush comes out for Endicott. Big Warrior somehow manages to stay alive as Baby Diva for a few more seconds. Blackout tries to get back on the point, forces the recall, which is pretty good as Big Warrior doesn't end up going down. UNH will have 2 ultimates, same for Endicott's 2 ultimates as well. Despair swaps back from the Cassidy to now a Tracer. A bit more of a mirror matchup now. Only difference being a Lucio versus a Wu Yang. Skylar has ultimate here. You could see him throw it out, maybe try to get on the point here to delay a little bit. Kitsune Rush goes out, and Knight takes some pretty good damage. Good Suzu there to keep them alive as the Wu Yang ultimate comes out for onto somebody. Diva Bomb gets popped on the inside there. Doesn't find any kills. UNH still able to delay them off this payload, not allowing them to take the second point here. Big Warrior does end up getting demech. Knight goes down. Despair goes down. Blackout, if he had his swift rush right there, he would have had one more kill, but he ends up going down to the Diva. Big Warrior stays alive as Baby Diva for a little bit longer, but Big Warrior does end up going down. Skylar falling as well. That'll be a team kill for Endicott. UNH now you're going to have to do a lot of legwork here if they want to hold off on this final point. Endicott going to have 4 minutes, 30 seconds to go. UNH definitely does not want to force another overtime. That was really stressful for me to commentate last time, so let's calm down the chaos, guys, yeah? Does look like Endicott will swap back to the Widow now, and Skylar goes down quickly. Endicott also picks up the Zarya instead. Big Warrior makes a swap to Ramatra. Blackout sticks with the Genji. Knight, though, swaps over to Lucio, giving Skylar the chance to go with Kiriko. Despair trying to zip around, maybe to get a pulse bomb going, maybe to cut that Widow off at the knees instead. They do have a Blade ready for both sides. Kitsune Rush about to be ready for Endicott here, which could be really big. The recall from Despair keeps himself alive. Looks like one Genji Blade might have got used there. It was the Endicott Genji Blade. Does end up finding the kill on the Knight. Cuts him off from finding Despair. Does pop his Blade. Res Kitsune Rush comes out. Takes down one. Looking for the Widow. Finds her as well. Maybe tries to get the Lucio as well, but the Zarya turns around just in time to stop him from killing Lucio. Both supports alive to help the Zarya out with Big Warrior. He might barely stay alive with Nemesis form there. The Kiriko as well. Skylar able to keep him alive for a few more seconds. He runs back towards Knight to help keep him alive. Taking quite a lot of damage from this beam here. Trying not to feed that bubble too much. throwing that E out, trying to capture that Lucio, stop him from wall riding a little bit. As the rest of the Endicott team joins in on the fight. They do swap over to Ashe now. That starts doing some really big damage to Big Warrior. The Pulse Bomb ready for Despair as he fights this Genji. Pulls out that deflect. Kitsune rush from Skylar gets thrown out. He quickly hits down that Ashe as well with a quick little headshot there. As Knight goes down to the Zarya, you see Despair in the backline with Tracer. Finding that health kit, throwing out the Pulse Bomb. Doesn't find anybody, but Zarya goes down to the Nemesis form. You see that Genji trying to make his run back towards spawn. UNH with a really good delay there. Doesn't allow Endicott to cap quite yet. They still have 2 minutes 45, so you could see 3, maybe 4 more team fights if UNH keeps up this pressure. They are going to have Big Warrior Ultimate online soon, but in the meantime, Endicott will have that Graphitic Flux ready to go. That could be really big for them. They're also about to have their Lucio Ultimate online. Both of those could spell a lot of trouble for UNH. Unless, of course, Big Warrior pulls off an insane play with the Ramatra Ultimate, which will be online for him now. He starts getting aggressive. Despair's in their backline, wants to go with Tracer, doing some teabagging there to keep himself alive. Unable to deflect the Graphitic Flux. Blackout doesn't end up going down, but Big Warrior in his ultimate just kind of sits there, keeps blocking, keeps letting Zarya keep him in his ultimate. He's just absolutely staying in the block form here, getting that damage reduction and chewing up a lot of damage here, trying not to fall down. He will be forced out of Nemesis form now, but he'll have another one ready to go. Tries to hunt down that Genji as he was pretty low, doing some pretty good damage, trying to stay alive with Knight bouncing on. He's going to have his ultimate up. He's going to pop it in response to Endicott's Lucio ultimate, which is a really big play here, keeping everybody alive for as long as possible. Skylar is going to have Kitsune Rush online soon as Knight takes down the Ashe. That was a really good play there. Knight doesn't end up going down just as Big Warrior takes on their Kiriko, so now their direct line of heals is gone. Despair's trying to get back out of that Genji, keeps zipping around, doesn't end up taking him down as Zarya ends up taking herself out with, I assume, her right click. Okay, Despair gets the final kill on that Lucio. He's going to have Pulse Bomb ready to go. Same time that Skylar's going to have Kitsune Rush. Blackout's about to have Blade ready to go, and you see that the Ashe makes a swap onto Cassidy. No, onto Bastion. We'll figure it out once they decide. But Endicott makes a few swaps here to keep the Zarya. Their Genji's going to have Blade soon, so that could be pretty big. But if Skylar can time this Kitsune Rush right, they could force this into maybe a final team fight. You see Despair in that backline, kind of poking, kind of prodding, trying to pull their attention away, trying to maybe find a good spot to throw that Pulse Bomb out. Looks like he finds it, doesn't find the stick, doesn't end up finding the kill either. Kitsune Rush comes out. Skylar takes down their Kiriko. You see Blackout starts getting in towards that Bastion. He ends up finding that kill as well. Despair is hunting their Zarya down. He wants to put her on a respawn timer, but is unable to. They're just going to sit outside. Oh, Despair is going to be sneaky. He's going to maybe try to sit outside that spawn room. Maybe try to find an angle to cut off that Kiriko before she can really get involved. Blackout has Blade. The Genji for Endicott has Blade. Big Warrior's about to have ultimate before the Graphitic Flux will get online. Speaking of Blade, that gets popped out. Oh, the Kiriko Suzu gets popped out. They force him back into the spawn room. Takes the Kiriko out. The Bastion is going to fall next. The Lucio falls as well. Less than 30 seconds ago now, UNH has pushed that payload almost all the way back to the halfway point for this last objectives. Gonna only have 20 seconds. UNH is gonna have to make sure that Endicott can't get out of their spawn. That's their best way to win. They do have Graphitic Flux and Blade, and those two comboed together can be lethal. They do lock Knight down with his with the Graphitic Flux. The Genji Blade comes out just as Despair takes down the Bastion. The Kiriko for Endicott goes running out towards the point. They get on the point now. Despair and Blackout both kind of traversing as fast as they can to get back towards the point. Knight on the Lucio comes back out, but he gets shut down quickly by the Genji and their Lucio. The Kitsune Rush comes out for Endicott. This is not looking great for UNH here. Big Warrior starts taking a lot of damage. Blackout without any cooldowns ready to go. Has to get back on the point, but he's unable to delay for any longer. Endicott will manage to take 3 points, but they'll have no time left on the clock. UNH now has to hope to get 3 points of their own to push this to an overtime, in which case they will most likely have a time advantage if they can push this to overtime.
Initiating match. Ready for battle.
UNH gonna get started on their attack here. The Symmetra teleport comes through, a big warrior maybe overshoots it a little bit here. He's gonna be locking in that Roadhog. You see Blackout on the Genji, Despair hopping back, maybe not on the Roadhog. Okay, that ruins all my fun, but big warrior's gonna be swapping to the D.Va. Endicott, meanwhile, they're gonna be running a Genji, Sojourn, D.Va, Lucio and Kiriko, pretty much similar to what we've seen from them. Big Warrior makes it the mirror matchup. Oh, mirror matchup. His Knight goes down to that rail cannon, that right click. Pretty lethal, especially once it's a critical hit. You see that Suzu comes through as Big Warrior starts to run down the Genji. Despair comes flying in to help secure that kill. Tries to get the Sojourn back off of fight. Does have recall ready to go. Manages to pop that right as he gets down to about 20 HP. A good play from him to stay alive. Another rail cannon shot gets Skylar very low HP. As you do see Blackout on the Genji. Starts closing in on that Sojourn, pops that deflect up, gets a little bit of value out of that as the D.Va starts to harass him, knows he doesn't have any cooldowns ready, does have that dash up in 1 second, could use that to get back towards the healers if he needs to. UNH starts getting their payload out towards underneath the bridge, one of the first big choke points of the map here. Personally, I hate getting out underneath of there, it sucks for me. You do see Big Warrior get up on towards that height, they want to force Endicott away from it as well, as they start getting the payload about a bit over halfway towards this first checkpoint here. Endicott does finally start to delay there. Got one person sitting on the payload a little bit there. There's Big Warrior and this D.Va constantly go racing around with each other. D.Va does have the bomb ready for Endicott, the only ultimate online for it now. The Sojourn is going to have that overclock online soon. Big Warrior in the meantime takes down that Sojourn. The D.Va bomb comes out for Endicott, but with a really good dash combo from Blackout there. Bomb comes out for Big Warrior as well. He manages to mech just in time to kill a Lucio. It's the first time I think I've actually seen one of those kills pop up in this kind of league, but Big Warrior does force him back to the doorway here. Looks like UNH wants to try to cap this first checkpoint before Endicott can get all back together to try to delay them, but it doesn't look like they'll be able to. Just under 5 meters away from first checkpoint. Kitsune Rush comes out from both sides now. Despair is pulse bomb ready to go. Overclock's ready to go, but Big Warrior shuts it down before it can get started. Blackout's about to have Blade as Big Warrior runs their Lucio down. Despair goes down. Resi throws on pulse bomb, but he ultimately falls. Kiriko starts getting ran down by Big Warrior, who ends up actually getting demeched at the last second. Looks like Blackout's looking to demech there. D.Va was unable to do so. Big Warrior does end up finally going down. Still under just 5 meters to push it, but it looks like UNH might fall before they can really get that. Blackout is still dancing around the point here, does end up losing the last of his cooldowns, and ultimately falls before they can cap for his checkpoint. Down to 1 minute 10 seconds to go. They're going to have Blackout's Blade ready to go. Knight also going to have ultimate just in time to counter Endicott's ultimate. Their Sojourn still does have that overclock ready to go, and if Despair can shut him down before that can get started, that could be really big for UNH here. As you see him start creeping around the back here. He actually might just go for a C9 here. Does dash in towards that and is immediately spotted. The entirety of Endicott came flying off that rooftop. His overclock gets popped here. Doesn't seem like UNH wants to even think about playing into overclock. They're just sitting around the corners waiting for it to expire. Ult economies are pretty much lined up here. Despair, once again, is just trying to look to push the objective maybe, but it looks like Endicot's just going to play around towards the payload instead. They do start targeting that Kiriko a little bit, force her to teleport away. Blackout with his Blade is definitely going to be looking towards the 3 Endicott members that are up top here. As Tracer goes down to their Genji. The Blade comes in from the back. Both Lucio ultimates come out just as Blackout pops Blade. Kitsune Rush comes out for Endicott. Blackout goes down. Blade goes out for Endicott. Big Warrior might be the last one alive. Throws the bomb up at the last second. Maybe hoping to find maybe 1, 2. Does find the Lucio. Just in time to see Knight go down to their D.Va. Big Warrior, last one on point as overtime begins to tick down here. Despair comes flying in as well. The bomb for... Wow, that's bad timing for Despair. And UNH will unfortunately not be able to tie this back up. Endicott will walk away going up 3-2, forcing this to game point now. And we are back for game 6, and it'll be match point in Endicott's favor. I absolutely forget the name of this map because I hate Flashpoint with my entire soul. Well, we'll see what the initial starting lineups here. We'll see what any swaps are made, potentially. I could definitely see Blackout swapping off of Symmetra after they throw out the teleporter. Same for the Symmetra on Endicott's side. In the meantime, though, you do see Big Warrior locking in the Zarya Despair. Actually, you're going to see pretty much an entire mirror matchup outside of the tanks here. Despair on the Sojourn, Knight, and Skylar. Going to be on the Lucio and the Kiriko, respectively. You'll see the same exact lineup on the other side of the board, of course, except the tanks, as mentioned. Now, after you see the Symmetra teleporters get thrown out there, we'll see what swaps. It's okay. An entire mirror matchup right outside of who the tanks are. You're going to see the Drunker Queen and the Zarya are going to be the biggest difference in teams here. Despair did take a knife to the face real quick right there. That bleed damage is, of course, just going to be annoying and helping sustain that Drunker Queen with that self-healing. It says like neither side wants to get started off towards this first point quite yet here. They're both kind of staying on the staircase, fighting up. You see that Big Warrior starts to get aggressive with his Drunker Queen, using that beam to the advantage, spacing out from the melees and that Carnage strike as well. That's the biggest thing you want to avoid is you see the Lucio for Endicott first go down to Despair with that E ability there that does some good damage. Big Warrior trying to stay in the grill of this Drunker Queen, helps secure that kill as well as the Sojourn for Endicott goes down. Their Kiriko going to fall as well. Their Genji will be the only one to escape. Maybe not, though he does manage to grab that health pack, but you do see them start to get aggressive, chasing out towards them. And now we have a mirror matchup in its true, as Endicott makes that swap to Zarya. And, alright, well, the mirror matchup's gone now, as Endicott makes a swap to Reaper over the Genji. Blackout's going to be sticking with the Genji, though. The deflect could be really big for him, especially against those rail cannon shots. Speaking of rail cannon shots, Reaper's gone already. Despair lining up that right click with practiced ease right there. Blackout does want to get a little bit more aggressive here, but he has to be careful. He cannot deflect those beams from the Zarya. In the meantime, though, UNH will get the first point up to about 70% here. It does look good for them as of right now, as long as they can keep Endicott from pushing out towards his first objective. They could take an early 1-0 lead. Speaking of, they do have Graphitic Flux up available early, and there it goes. The Suzu does get burned out. Kitsune Rush comes out as well, but Big Warrior finds 2. Blackout takes up 1 as his own. Knight does end up going down, though. Big Warrior does end up falling at the last second, but nobody from Endicott was on the point to delay there. The Reaper wasn't there, and the Zarya was just a few feet too far away to grab that. Blackout's playing Ring Around the Rosie just in time for Knight to come over and help him secure the kill. UNH takes the first flashpoint, quickly going to be moving towards the second flashpoint here. You could definitely see them. They definitely want an early, commanding 2-0 lead. They want to push this out to Game 7. Of course, right now they are down 3-2. It is match point, or game point rather, for Endicott. UNH would like to win this grudge match in the grand finals. They did lose earlier this season 3-1 to Endicott. Overclock comes out for Despair. Same time as Kitsune Rush from Skylar gets popped. Blackout and Knight still are holding on to their ultimates as the ult economy for Endicott tries to get stabilized here. Their Kiriko is only about 35% as they force Endicott to completely rethink their approach. They're all going to rotate towards the left middle side of the map here. Actually looks like they want to flank all the way around to the left side completely here. Big Warrior makes the appropriate adjustment. You see Blackouts and Knight maybe start looking towards the backline. Blackout does have Blade ready to go, so that could be a huge part of this flank here. Does get in just as Endicott makes their push on the point. They do take the first point. They do take control back of the point. Trying to rush in towards that Sojourn. She barely lives. Graphitic Flux comes out. Big Warrior finds 2. Despair takes down 1. Lucio Ultimate from Knight comes out. No, Despair runs them down. Finds a double kill of his own. UNH quickly takes that point back with the team kill. They're going to get up to at least 50% before Endicott even fully respawns. In terms of ultimate, Endicott now has the ult advantage here. They're going to have Overclock. Also going to be quickly building up the Lucio and Kiriko ultimates, as well as that Reaper Death Blossom. Death Blossom, of course, notorious for pretty much changing the outcomes of many fights. Speaking of Overclock, that gets popped, but quickly Despair locks on with that fully charged railed shot there. Nearly takes him out there, but the Suzu comes at the last second to save him. Speaking of Suzu's, Big Warrior nearly saved by it, but does end up going down. Lucio Ultimate comes out as well for Endicott. Despair and Skylar do stay alive, but they just run back towards the spawn for now. They want to wait for the rest of this team to come back online. Endicott does manage to take the second point back. They're going to get it up towards about 40%, as UNH did get kicked off when they had about 90%. Kitsune Rush and Death Blossom are both ready for Endicott, but UNH is about to have Graphitic Flux and Overclock themselves, as well as that Kitsune Rush about halfway there. Big Warrior does, I think, spot where that Reaper might be hiding, especially off that Kitsune Rush that just got teleported in through. Big Warrior tries to step back from the Zarya, gets her out of the Kitsune Rush, but doesn't have a bubble. As Death Blossom comes out, I don't believe it finds anybody as Knight goes down to the Railjack there. Or the Rail Charge, whatever it is, I can't remember. Skylar does end up falling as well. UNH might just lose his second point, but they are going to hold on to both Big Warrior ults and Despair's ult. Blackout does go down while he was trying to delay there a little bit. He did get it to push to overtime, but it doesn't like UNH is interested in pushing out that far when they have the third point right next to them right here. You could definitely see Graphitic Flux get thrown out early here, especially if they all group up towards that checkpoint in the center there. Could be a really big play for Big Warrior, or he might wait until Blackout gets that Blade online. That could also be really big for him as well. Bubble on the Reaper just kind of prevent Big Warrior from popping out any damage, but he manages to bubble himself there. It doesn't look like they're going to force Endicott back away from the point. Pops that Graphitic Flux to force Zarya to fight him. The Suzu gets popped out, not enough to save him, as the Despair gets that final kill there. Blackout does get some really good ult charge out of that as well. Reaper very low HP, does not manage to escape though, but the Kiriko does take down Knight, but she goes down. Blackout finds one of his own. Big Warrior gets one, spared, and he finds that Sojourn, but just unable to line that right click. Only 2 members of Endicott are alive right now. They might be able to kill this Zarya before the rest of the support can get out there, and it looks like they might be looking to do that, but the Suzu comes in at the last second, barely keeping their Zarya alive. Ult economy for Endicott. Looks like they're only going to be really able to work with that Graphitic Flux once it comes online. Despair does pop Overclock. Does look to do some damage. Forces that Wraith form out of Reaper. Forces them to run back around the corner. Their Overclock has been constantly used, kind of like a warning call from both teams here. They just force each other to get back around the corners. Don't push towards site. They still do have Kitsune Rush ready to go. That Reaper goes down quick there. I don't know what his plan was. Kitsune Rush gets flown out there. Blackout has Blade ready to go, but Big Warrior finds one. Give Despair one. Give Big Warrior a second. Last alive Zarya goes down to Knight. That'll be a team kill for UNH, and then they might be able to cap point off that if they can force this Endicott team to stay back here. As Blackout on the side room there pops Blade, catches the bubble for it as well. Does big damage to that Reaper, forces him back. Starts focusing on the Zarya now. She goes down. And they keep Endicott in their spawn room. They don't give them the chance to push out. UNH will get a 2-1 advantage in this flashpoint match. That should put them to match point here. They can win this. They can tie it back up at 3-3. Make it quite the last game if they can push this to game 7. Big Warrior does have Graphitic Flux here. You could see him throw that out there. The Zarya for Endicott does as well. Big Warrior shuts that Reaper down, though. That'll be pretty hurtful to his Endicott team. There goes Graphitic Flux. Looks like it might have pulled in 1, maybe 2. Lucio Boop comes out from Knight as well. Make that not quite a team kill as the Lucio for Endicott. He stays alive back towards spawn. Ult economy for UNH is definitely hurting now compared to Endicott. They have 4 ultimates, nearly 5 online. UNH might not be able to hold on to this fourth point the entire time, but if they can force Endicott to use all 5 ultimates, that'd be really good. There's the first ultimate. Graphitic Flux comes out, but Big Warrior gets that kill onto their Zarya. The Blackout goes down. Knight also goes down. Overclock comes out now. Despair nearly had the kill onto that Kiriko at the end there, unable to find that. Big Warrior and Skylar are both still on site. Skylar does end up going down finally. Big Warrior, the last 2 fall. They do delay long enough for UNH to get to about 37% here. But Endicott did only end up using 2 out of their 5 ultimates. They're still going to have Death Blossom, Lucio, and Kitsune Rush online. Despair does have Overclock ready to go. Skylar 75% towards Kitsune Rush. Big Warrior halfway to that Graphitic Flux. So you could see some combination of ultimates being exchanged here. Especially with Despair and Knight creeping around the back here. Death Blossom goes out. So does Overclock for Despair as Death Blossom takes down Blackout. Big Warrior goes down. Skylar goes down. Looking for at least 1 trade here. Finds 1. Taking down the Sojourn. But Knight, last alive. Looks like he might just be run back towards spawn. Now Endicott is only working with 2 support ultimates as Big Warrior nearly has Graphitic Flux online. Kitsune Rush ready for both teams. So I assume you'll see both of those at the same exact time. We'll see what UNH can do now that they have maybe the ult advantage swinging in their favor a little bit. There's the first Katsuna Rush. There's the second. The Reaper goes down quickly to Despair. Blackout takes quite a bit of damage there. So does Skylar. He goes down. They're forced to fight out of the Katsuna Rush because of how the map is structured there. Blackout, not a lot of HP, manages to stay alive. Graphitic Flux comes out for Big Warrior. Forces out the Lucio Boop as well. Big Warrior staying on the point. They did manage to cap there. They didn't allow Endicott to take it quite yet, but it does look like UNH will, instead of fighting for this 4th point, just move on to the 5th point. We could not be closer if we wanted to now. Either team takes this, we either go to a game 7 or this spells the win for Endicott. It all depends on how UNH can play this out now. They are going to be lacking in a bit of ultimates here, but if Blackout can deflect this Graphitic ult, the Graphitic Flux from the Zarya on Endicott, that could be really big for this team here. Because that's pretty much the only ult advantage that Endicott has right now. Blackout's about to have Blade, and we've seen him get double, triple, even quadra kills with that in this series so far. He could definitely do something with that here and now. He will have it online very soon. It does look like he has Knight with him as well. That could be a good way to keep him alive. This Big Warrior starts to get to work on this Reaper, doing some really good damage with that left click there. Blackout and Knight diving in towards the back line. Blade comes out for Blackout. He chases down the Sojourn, gets that kill. Just kind of looks at the Zarya funny, waits for her thing to drop, gets some good damage with double swipes. Knight gets to knock off the edges. Skylar does go down along with Big Warrior. It's going to be a 3v3, 1 support and 2 DPS versus 1 DPS, 2 supports here. We'll see what can come of it as Blackout takes some pretty good damage from that Reaper. Knight also taking some big damage. Manages to stay alive there. Tries to stay alive for a bit longer. Did have that Lucio ultimate, but Despair finds a double kill. Both the Lucio and the Kitsune are going to fall, or the Kiriko are going to fall to him as UNH forces the Reaper back, or stays on point for a bit longer, but UNH will have the first cap. They'll have it up to 40%. In terms of ultimates, Endicott's going to have Graphitic Flux and Overclock available soon, but Knight has that Lucio ultimate ready to go. That could be a really big key piece of their upcoming fight here. Despair trying to get up top onto a bit of a height advantage. They're unable to do so. Starts to get some good damage out there with his E. Graphitic Flux comes out. Lucio ultimate comes out, but it doesn't look like Graphitic Flux found anybody. Overclock comes out for Endicott, but he gets taken down really quickly just in time for Despair to pop his Overclock. He does some good damage on that Zarya. Kitsune Rush goes out for Endicott. Knight goes down. 4v4 right now. Only 1 support alive for UNH, but Big Warrior almost has Graphitic Flux online. He's also been sitting on that 100% charge. They have it up to 95%. This Graphitic Flux could be the win they need right here. They force Zarya off the point. Not able to contest. Overtime will start kicking off though, but Blackout in that backline helps out. The Sojourn takes some big damage from Big Warrior. That last second bubble. Death Blossom comes out. He goes down to Despair though. Despair, Knight, and Skylar, last 2 alive. Skylar throws that Kitsune Rush. Oh, they take on the Kiriko. Oh, UNH brings it to game 7. What was that ending? Oh my god. We'll be back for game point. I don't like the messaging I just got from my broadcaster, but we are here for game 7. Gonna be gonna be game point for both sides here. Winner takes all. Final map going to be Samoa for some little bit of flashpoint here. We'll see what lineups teams are running here in a few seconds. I expect to see symmetric teleports from both sides, of course. Or maybe just one side, but it does look like UNH wants to run back to Despair on Freya. Gonna see Blackout maybe hovering that Genji. Big Warrior gonna be on the Zarya, Knight and Skylar on the supports, Lucio, Kiriko respectively. On the other side of the board, you're gonna see the Mei, Zarya, pretty much some mirror matchups going on here. I expect that Symmetra to be swapping soon after the teleport goes out. Blackout might be in a little bit of trouble here. That deflect not going to be great against the Mei, Zarya. Both of those don't really have super deflectable. Skylar going to throw out the speed boost and then swap back to Kiriko. Symmetra teleport comes out and then swap to Reaper, so you could see some Death Blossoms being popped open. See both teams getting ready at the fight here. Looks like Endicott wants to take the bridge up there. You see Despair. Alright, Spider-Man over here is flying up above the rooftop there on the Freya, throwing out some of those arrows, trying to get a few sticks. The Mei walls, those were a huge part of Endicott's playstyle in these first few matches, were those Mei walls in the back, cutting off the tanks. Blackout on the flank there, doing some pretty good damage. Force out the Suzu. Nobody's really looking at him as he just kind of looks at the Kiriko right there. Teleport is forced out. It looks like Endicott wants to go back towards the point. They want to get the first cap and start playing defense first. Blackout hunting down the Kiriko, nearly finds it, but the last second gets taken down by the Zarya. You're just going to have to back off for a few seconds, wait for the rest of the team to come back after that unfortunate play. Also have to be very careful of those Mei walls. Speaking of the Mei walls, cuts Big Warrior off, but looks like he may be able to find a gap there to get free. That's been a big part of Endicott's game plan. You saw a lot of that on Lijiang Tower. That might have been one of the main reasons they lost. Also on Hollywood. Hollywood is another map where you saw those Mei walls were just a pain in the behind for this UNH team. Sorry, I had to make sure to watch my language a little bit there. Big Warrior unable to get a bubble at the last second, ends up going down. Blackout as well. Skylar gonna fall next. Knight and Despair just trying to maybe get a pick before they go, but Despair is unable to. Knight either. That'll be a team kill for Endicott as they get up to about 40% on this first point here. Ult economies for both sides, a little bit hit and miss here. Despair makes a swap. Not going to be able to use that Freya ultimate, unfortunately. Hops on the Mei instead. Graphitic Flux about to be ready for Big Warrior. The Kitsune Rush and Lucio ultimates for Endicott about to be up and ready to go. Blizzard also about to be ready for Endicott as well. So Graphitic Flux comes out right as the Kitsune Rush comes out. Blackout finds one, gives Skylar one as well. Despair ends up going down to the Mei as Blackout on the point starts getting some good capture. Nearly finds the dash back onto the Mei. She goes down to Knight. Last alive Zarya. She's delaying for as long as she can. Blackout finally secures it. Endicott kicked off the point right when they got to about 75% of the way. Now it's a game of if UNH can survive the onslaught of ultimates long enough to hold on to point. Blackout's going to have the Blade ready to go. Skylar going to have Kitsune Rush online soon. But in the meantime, Endicott's going to have 4 out of their 5 ultimates ready to go. They're going to have Death Blossom, Blizzard, Graphitic Flux, and the Lucio Boop as well. We'll see if the Kitsune Rush can't come out. Oh, good Mei wall there from Despair, but it's not enough to keep Big Warrior alive. Knight goes down as well. Skylar takes down the Reaper. Blackout trying to get something done with the Blade there, unable to do so. He's forced to climb around, but he ends up going down. Despair gets a kill on the Mei, hunting down the Lucio, who eventually takes down Skylar. See if Despair can't delay for a little bit longer, but he's unable to do so. UNH going to take their time to regroup before what could be the final team fight here. Blackout makes the swap to Mei. There's not really a long-range hit-scan character on this Endicott team, so that could be a good pick. As you see, the UNH is quickly trying to get back to point. Endicott's pushing out towards 99% here. They're going to have to get a touch in just to make sure they get into overtime. Knight with that Lucio ultimate might pop it here to keep Big Warrior alive. Blizzard comes out. Death Blossom as well. Lucio ultimate from Knight comes out. He does end up getting frozen and taken down. Blizzard comes out from Despair. Skylar and Blackout last 2 alive. Blackout takes down 1, but they both go down. And Endicott will walk away with the first point. That'll give them the first opportunity to potentially win the series here. UNH has to win 2 in a row if they want to take this home. Of course, just as a reminder that you definitely don't need reminded about, this is the grand finals. So this will be the last game of the season for this varsity Overwatch squad. We'll see if UNH can't walk away with the upset. They are the 3 seed against the 1 seed here. So we'll see what the game plan is here for the second map on Samoa, I believe. You see Blackout makes a swap off Genji. Of course, I did mention earlier, Genji into Mei Zarya is a little bit difficult. We'll see what he can do with Reaper instead. Probably see the Symmetra swap off of once the teleport goes out back to Reaper. So you're going to have a complete mirror matchup. We've seen a lot of these, especially in these last 2 or 3 matches. There's been a lot of mirror matchups. There's a big Mei wall immediately, but it doesn't look like it actually caught anybody of UNH on the wrong side of it, thankfully there. Another big Mei wall, but this time from Despair. Cuts off the escape pretty well there. We're going to see a bit of a Reaper 1v1 there. Blackout pops that Wraith form to get back a little bit. Those look like both teams want to clash for this kind of like little bit of the height advantage here. Big Warrior with some good bubbles there, keeping himself up at about 100%. They're able to do some really big damage. Looks like he might be able to force that Mei down. Actually, Big Warrior finds the kill before she can Ice Cube. Really good play there. That's going to give them that early 5v4 advantage. Those look like they'll be able to cap first. Endicott will, but quickly turning back around is this UNH team to try to secure it back. A kill for Despair, a kill for Skylar. Blackout's getting hunted down by that Reaper, but luckily they're able to get healed by Skylar just in time, and they'll take point back before Endicott can even get 15%. Now UNH will, of course, have the advantage of playing on defense first, and you definitely see Despair. He wants to get a Mei wall down. He wants some revenge for what he's been suffering this entire game. They've been constantly cutting them off with these Mei walls, and now Despair has a chance to do it himself. He does manage to cut one off, but they're quickly broken through. Graphitic Flux comes out. The Suzu able to keep everybody alive for a little bit longer, but a triple kill, or a triple death there. But, ooh, Despair knows how to kill back on the Reaper. Blackout did find one. He's still alive, but he's going to delay for as long as he can. UNH will squeak past 30% before they lose the point. But their ult economy is a lot healthier than this Endicott ult economy. UNH is going to have nearly all 5... Actually, they're going to have all 5 ultimates online by the time they get to point here. Blizzard, Death Blossom, Graphitic Flux, Kitsune Rush, and that Lucio Boop. Meanwhile, all Endicott has right now is Kitsune Rush. Both Kitsune Rushes come out. That's a double kill. Big Warrior finds one. Blackout gets another. You're about to see maybe Blizzard, but no. They're actually going to hold on to ultimates. Big Warrior gets a double kill. Despair stays alive, and that's a very quick team kill, and UNH only used one of their ultimates for it. They still have 4 ultimates online. Endicott will have 3 ultimates online relatively soon. They're going to have the Death Blossom, Blizzard, and the Lucio ultimate, but they won't have Graphitic Flux or Kitsune Rush. That was a really good Kitsune Rush out of Skylar there to give them that first team kill there. There's Graphitic Flux. There's one Death Blossom. Death Blossom. There goes Blizzard. Lucio ultimate comes out as well. Huge Blizzard might find at least 1 or 2 here. Does take out the Zarya, and that's going to force Endicott back once again. That was 2 ultimates for UNH in exchange for Death Blossom, but it will allow them to start oh, you see Blackout here on the... I'm going to cut myself off because Blackout's... He's creeping around. He has Death Blossom. He's looking for a play with it. He's in the corner there, nice crouched and quiet. He's waiting for somebody to walk around. They start walking around. There he goes. Finds 1, takes down 2. Might even get 3, but he forces the Mei to go in their Icicle. Blizzard for Endicott won't get as much value as it did for UNH, and that might be another team kill. Oh, they're delaying it. They're not letting Reaper escape quite yet. He's going to be Wraith forming away. Going for the teleport. He does end up escaping, but UNH should be able to cap off this. They're not going to have any ultimates, but neither will Endicott, not unless they can get on the point and cap before UNH can stop them. Blackout finds the first kill. Lucio trying to force his way by. Goes down to Despair, keeps himself alive, and doesn't even look like Endicott will get to the point in time, despite Skylar going down. Despair gets 1. Big Warrior goes down. Blackout gets a kill before the time runs out. This game could not be any closer if we want it to be. It will be overtime match point, which makes it overtime game point. Winner of round 3 wins it all. You couldn't get it to be any closer for a match if you wanted to. The only way this gets any closer is if both teams manage to push this to 99% and we have to sit on an overtime timer. Outside of that, this game could not be any closer. Grand Finals, the 3 seed versus the 1 seed. UNH, they went down 0-2 early and they brought it back to 2-2. Then they went down 3-2, tied it back up at 3-3, and that is what led us to this situation. Game 7, tied 1-1 on Flashpoint. I feel like Kevin Harlan at this point calling the NBA Finals. I don't know what's going on, but you just see that Symmetric Teleporter getting broken out from Endicott once again, but UNH doesn't even bother with the swaps. They're just going to stick with this mirror matchup. They're going to go for height early here. It doesn't look like Endicott has the same idea. They just want to play on the objective here. They're going to let UNH have height. You see Blackout trying to get a good flank there. That Mei wall doesn't manage to cut one off, but the Mei wall from Despair is going to cut off that Zarya. She's going to go down to Blackout, who's getting active in their backline. You see Big Warrior starting to run around. Blackout did take some good damage there, but he's able to just hide behind that pillar and get back. And without a tank, Endicott's initial push is shut down quickly. UNH going to cap first. We've seen them cap first, I think, almost every time, except maybe that first map. of Samoa here, but you do see they're starting to get aggressive. They want to keep Endicott back towards their spawn there a little bit. Despair maybe looking for a good wall. Cuts off the Zarya completely. Manages to nearly secure a kill out of it. Gets it really low. Forces Endicott to back off once again as Blackout's in their backline. Skylar takes down their Lucio. That's a big source of healing gone. Blackout hunts down their Reaper. Gets that mirror matchup to swing in his favor. 25% for UNH. They're looking good at the start here. There's going to be no caster curse, but their ultimate economy is about in line with the ultimate economy for Endicott here, so you could see a lot of ultimates getting thrown out in response to other ultimates. Wall onto the back of Despair, trying to cut him off. Suzu and Bubble both come out to keep him alive. Skylar's going to have Kitsune Rush online super quickly here. Big Warrior taking a lot of damage, but able to stay alive despite the damage going to Skylar. He gets very low. There goes Kitsune Rush from the left side. It looks like UNH will rotate around to play with the Kitsune Rush. You see a teleport from their Reaper out somewhere. A big wall there from Despair. Tries to cut them off, but he's forced into his Icicle there to stay alive. Blackout gets active. Graphitic Flux gets thrown out. Ultimate from Knight comes out to keep everybody alive in the Graphitic Flux. He takes down the Zarya as Reaper goes down. Lucio goes down. Maywall doesn't help them at all. It's a team kill for UNH. Right as they get to about 65%, they're going to have Graphitic Flux and Death Blossom as well as Blizzard online. Meanwhile, Endicott will have Blizzard, Kitsune Rush, and Death Blossom soon. So we're going to see just a lot of ultimates getting thrown out together. Throws it out in the Kiriko. Right as she throws a Kitsune Rush, they're going to try to shut her down as Blizzard comes out from Despair. Triple kill for Blackout. He goes absolutely crazy without even needing Death Blossom. Does take some pretty good damage. Ends up getting traded out, but Despair takes down another one. Big Warrior gets one. That team kill really hurts the chances of Endicott now. They're going to have to make a lot of swaps to try to go racing back out to the point. If they had Graphitic Flux right now, UNH should be in such a nice spot. But they're actually not going to be able to use their Death Blossom because they're forced to swap to Tracer. Now, that's a huge ultimate loss for Endicott. But Blackout has Death Blossom ready to go. You're going to see him go for a teleport play or a creep play or go in that backline and pop it. And there he goes with it. He forces out Suzu, finds both supports. Blizzard does come out from the Endicott, but it's not going to be enough. Skylar goes down. There's only 2 players alive left or there's 3 players alive. The last one alive is Tracer. She does manage to cap the point, but if she gets dropped here or if they cap without her being able to come back in time, they're just going to win. UNH is 99% right now. But Tracer does come flying back in, but she's dead. I don't know if Endicott can get back in time. That Maywall might actually stop a Lucio, and it looks like it does. What a crazy Maywall for UNH to take the win. They'll go up 4-3 after going down 0-2 early, and UNH will be your grand finals winner. Oh my god. UNH upsets the 1-seeded Endicott College to walk away with the win, and I'm sure the stable is the loudest thing on campus right now. Lakers in 5. But that will actually be the all for tonight's stream. I totally forgot to do an outro there. Thank everybody for joining us. Take some time to appreciate this big win from the Overwatch varsity, and we will see you next season.